was about 8 months of training, 4 hours a day, toughing myself up, the SWAT combat courses, the archery courses.
You thought you knew the story, but the truth is far more twisted. There are whispers, lost footage, and hidden deals that almost changed everything. Fans think they know the full picture. But these 10 shocking facts will flip the narrative and expose the hidden layers behind the legend. Why was this ending buried for decades? Who walked off set hours before filming? And what secret almost ruined the whole project before it began? Today, we'll reveal the secrets they never wanted you to know about Rambo. First blood, exclusive details, verified sources, no filters. Number 10. The ending they tried to bury. They shot it, edited it, nearly released it, and then they buried it. The original ending of this now iconic film didn't just almost change movie history, it almost ended it completely. In the earliest cut, the hero doesn't survive. He doesn't walk away stronger. He dies. And not in some blaze of glory action sequence, he chooses to die. That was the ending planned from the start, one taken directly from the original novel. In that version, the final scene shows the lead begging his mentor to end his suffering. He can't handle the trauma anymore. The weight of everything he's done and everything he's lost crushes him. It's a quiet, emotional moment. No music, no slow motion, just a single gunshot. Fade to black. They filmed it exactly like that. No rewrites, no studio interference. In fact, the entire production went forward thinking this was the ending audiences would see. The actor playing the mentor later described it as the most emotionally draining day of filming I've ever had. Even the director said the mood on set was like shooting a funeral. But then came the test screenings, and they went horribly. Audiences were stunned, but not in the way the studio hoped. Instead of tears, they got anger. People hated it. Some felt betrayed. Others were simply confused. One viewer wrote on their feedback form, "Why did you make us care if you were going to him like that?" That one sentence changed everything. The lead actor fought hard to reshoot. He argued that the character didn't need to die, that in fact, letting him live was the more powerful choice. He believed survival was the whole point, not because the character was indestructible, but because he was broken. Letting him live forced the world and the audience to face what that brokenness really looked like. At first, the studio resisted. Slaying him was the original vision. It was what the book had done. It was what the critics expected. But the backlash couldn't be ignored. Eventually, a compromise was reached. They rewrote the ending, scheduled a reshoot, and filmed the new version where the hero lives to fight another day. That version, of course, is the one everyone knows now. The one that launched a franchise, inspired sequels, and turned a one-time character into a pop culture icon. But here's the kicker. The original death scene still exists. It's tucked away in special edition box sets, sometimes screened at film festivals, and whispered about in online forums. And when people watch it today, the reactions are mixed. Some say it's more powerful, others say it feels like a betrayal. Either way, that moment proves something bigger. Sometimes, changing the last 5 minutes of a film can rewrite the future. If the studio had stuck with the original plan, there'd be no sequels, no action legacy, just a quiet, tragic ending no one would have seen coming. And the legend we know today never would have been born. If your eyebrows just hit the ceiling, brace yourself. They're going higher. Number 9. A Hollywood legend walked away. He was a screen titan, a silver screen heavyweight, and he walked out just days before the cameras rolled. Before the role of the hardened, battle-worn mentor became legendary, it was supposed to go to Hollywood royalty, a man who had headlined epics and played warriors on horseback and generals in uniform. He wasn't just cast, he had signed, he had rehearsed, he even showed up on set. That man? Kirk Douglas. Yes, the iconic star of Spartacus was originally slated to play the mentor figure, the voice of reason to the film's troubled lead. On paper, it made perfect sense. Douglas brought authority, gravitas, and box office power. The producers were thrilled. The press got excited. Everything looked locked. But then the script disagreements started. Douglas had one major demand. He wanted the film to end exactly like the novel. That meant the lead character dies. Douglas argued that the death gave the story weight. It made it meaningful, tragic, final. But the lead actor and director had other ideas. They saw a different future for the character, one where survival wasn't just possible, but symbolic. They wanted the film to explore trauma, not just end in it. Douglas hated it. He didn't just disagree, he threatened to quit. And when they didn't budge, he did. Kirk Douglas walked off the production just before filming his scenes. No one expected it. The set was already built. Schedules were locked. The team scrambled. And then, in what many call a miracle casting switch, Richard Crenna was brought in. At the last possible second. He had never read the script. He hadn't rehearsed a single line. They faxed him the pages overnight. He arrived on set the next morning. He was filming that same afternoon. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. Crenna didn't try to outshine the lead. He didn't demand rewrites or chase spotlight. Instead, he brought a quiet strength, a weary dignity. His calm, father-like tone softened the intensity of the film. He became the voice of guilt, duty, and regret, and audiences connected instantly. Ironically, that last-minute casting change redefined the entire film. It gave the story balance. It made the mentor more than just a plot device. He became the emotional compass. As for Kirk Douglas, years later, he admitted he regretted walking away. In interviews, he confessed he underestimated how impactful the movie would become, and that maybe, just maybe, he missed the chance to be part of something legendary. Instead, his decision made room for the perfect fit. Crenna went on to reprise the role in multiple sequels, becoming inseparable from the franchise, and all because one Hollywood icon thought the ending was wrong. Sometimes, the biggest scenes aren't the ones in front of the camera, they're the ones that happen behind it. And in this case, a walk-off opened the door to movie history. Number 8. Real injuries, real danger. Forget stunt doubles, forget safety pads. This wasn't just a performance, it was a physical war. And the lead actor put his body on the line in ways most stars wouldn't dare. From the moment filming began, he was clear. If Rambo hurts, I want to hurt. And he meant it. During one of the film's most dangerous stunts, the character jumps off a cliff and crashes through a forest of sharp branches. You'd think that's the kind of thing reserved for a trained stuntman. But no, the actor did it himself. With only a thin harness and minimal protection, he launched off the edge, hit the trees hard, and cracked a rib on impact. Production shut down for a day. The crew was shaken. Everyone thought they'd have to rewrite the next week of scenes. But the actor returned the next day, bruised, sore, and ready to keep going. His reasoning? The pain made it real. And that wasn't the only time things got dangerous. In the chase scenes through freezing woods, he ran barefoot over rocks and icy terrain. No fakes, no digital tricks. Real ground, real blood. The cuts you see on his feet, not makeup. The limp, not acting. That's what happens when you tell your wardrobe team to leave the boots behind, because Rambo wouldn't have time to find shoes. During the high-speed motorcycle sequence, he refused to wear a helmet, even though it was required by local law. He argued it wouldn't make sense for the character to prioritize safety while escaping police. The stunt team begged him to use a double. The studio's insurance team nearly pulled the plug, but he did it anyway. Even the cave scenes, wet, dark, claustrophobic, were filmed in real freezing streams and mud. The crew offered him thermal wear beneath his costume. He declined. He wanted to shiver for real. He wanted his breath to fog naturally, his muscles to stiffen from the cold. That level of discomfort, he said, was what made the performance believable. And it worked. The film doesn't feel polished or glossy. It feels raw, desperate, wounded, just like the character himself. But that authenticity came at a cost. Crew members have said they were constantly on edge, worried every scene could end in disaster. His commitment was called reckless by one producer. But even critics who panned the film admitted the physicality was unforgettable. Number 7. Locals tried to shut it down before it became a landmark. Before the statues, the walking tours, and the fan pilgrimages, the town where the film was shot wanted nothing to do with it. The movie was filmed in Hope, British Columbia, a small, quiet community tucked among forests and rivers. When producers arrived with a script full of violence, explosions, and a drifter on the run, residents pushed back hard. At first, it seemed like a great opportunity. Jobs for locals, business for shops, tourism. But when word spread about the plot, a former soldier hunted by police in a small town, many locals took it personally. They said it painted small-town cops as brutal. It made their home look like a place that hated outsiders. One local business owner even said, "We're not that kind of place. We don't want to be remembered as the town that chased a man into the woods." Tensions quickly rose. Some shopkeepers refused to allow filming inside their stores, even after being offered thousands in location fees. One key interior scene had to be rewritten and relocated after a store owner locked their doors the morning of the shoot. Other businesses put up signs banning the film crew entirely. Locals held protests near the set, accusing the film of glamorizing violence. At one point, a group of townspeople confronted the production team face-to-face, demanding answers. Police were brought in, not as extras, but to manage real-world hostility. The atmosphere was so charged that extras hired from town were warned not to talk to the press. The production feared negative headlines. Meanwhile, the lead actor later said the tension actually helped his performance. He felt like an outsider, unwelcome, hunted, mistrusted. It mirrored exactly what the character was supposed to feel. Eventually, money began to change opinions. The film brought in cash, lots of it. Restaurants, hotels, and construction crews started to benefit. Local tradespeople were hired to build sets. Teenagers got paid to work as runners and assistants. Slowly, resistance turned to curiosity, and then to pride. But the memory of that early hostility never faded. Number 6. The script was a disaster. Before it became a gritty masterpiece, before audiences ever heard the first line, the script was a complete mess. Bloated, broken, and borderline unwatchable. At one point, It ran over 3 hours. There were pages of monologues, characters talking in circles, and a lead role that didn't resemble a hero at all. In fact, in early drafts, the protagonist came off as unhinged, cruel, and borderline villainous. He was slain without mercy. He ranted endlessly. He was more monster than man. It read more like a psychological horror film than an action thriller, and everyone in Hollywood knew it. That's why the script bounced around for years. Over 20 versions were written. Studios passed. Directors dropped out. The project became a running joke. No one wanted to touch it. Then the lead actor came on board, and everything changed. He read the script once and said, "This character isn't human. We need to fix that." He wasn't just the star. He became the uncredited ghostwriter who rewrote the entire movie by hand. Armed with a red pen, he cut over half of his own dialogue. He slashed speeches, rewrote scenes, and removed anything that made the character feel cold or psychotic. His goal wasn't to make the character likable, but to make him understandable. He wanted the silence to speak louder than words. The result? A quiet, haunted character whose pain was shown, not explained. Instead of endless rants about war, we saw trauma in his eyes. We felt it in the way he moved, the way he avoided eye contact, the way he flinched when touched. It became about a man broken by his past, not defined by violence. But he didn't stop there. He also rewrote the side characters. In the original script, the cops were cartoonish villains, evil for the sake of it. The actor found that ridiculous. He believed that if the antagonists were realistic, flawed, but not monsters, it would make the conflict more tragic, more believable. He trimmed the action scenes too. Instead of wild shootouts and one-liners, he pushed for gritty, grounded survival. No flashy explosions, no superhero stunts. Just a man trying to stay alive. At first, the studio panicked. They thought the rewrites were too serious, too quiet. Executives feared they'd lose their core audience. But the director backed the changes. He believed in the stripped-down vision. And when cameras rolled, everyone saw it. The tension, the depth, the humanity. It was all there. And it all came from that red pen. In the end, the rewrites didn't just save the film. They gave it identity. Keep your focus locked in. This next fact flips everything you thought you knew. Number 5. A knife that changed pop culture. It wasn't just a weapon. It wasn't just a prop. It became an icon, a blade so legendary, people lined up to own it. Long before movie merchandise was a billion-dollar industry, long before action figures and collectibles flooded the market, one item from this film sparked a real-world obsession. Not a toy, not a logo, a knife. And not just any knife. A custom-built survival blade that fans would come to know simply as the Rambo knife. When the film went into production, the lead actor had a clear vision. He didn't want a flashy, oversized Hollywood dagger. He wanted something real, something a soldier would actually carry. A blade that could cut rope, chop wood, build shelter, and survive the wilderness. So they called in a legend. Jimmy Lyle, a master knife maker from Arkansas, was given a challenge. Design a survival knife that could withstand the brutal conditions the character would face. What he delivered was a 14-inch sawback-edged beast with a hollow handle. Inside were real survival tools, fishing line, hooks, a compass, and matches. This wasn't movie magic. This was a tool built for survival. The knife wasn't just carried, it was featured. Close-ups showed it slicing through fabric, prying open wounds, carving through forest brush. It became an extension of the character, a symbol of self-reliance. No one explained its importance. They didn't have to. One look, and you knew this man wasn't just fighting. He was surviving. And then something strange happened. The world wanted one. After the film's release, Jimmy Lyle's shop was flooded with orders, phone calls, letters. Some people offered thousands to jump the line. Sporting goods stores tried to copy the design. Outdoor magazines ran stories on how Rambo's knife could save your life. People who'd never set foot in the woods bought one, just in case. Toy companies rushed out plastic versions. Military surplus stores started selling knockoffs. Survival schools advertised using images from the movie. It was more than merch. It was a movement. But behind the scenes, the blade played more than a symbolic role. The prop team made several versions: a sharpened hero knife for close-ups, a rubber version for fight scenes, and a lightweight model for long trekking shots. The lead actor reportedly kept the original knife after filming wrapped. He once joked it was the only thing on set that never let him down. Today, the knife is still one of the most sought-after movie collectibles. Authentic Jimmy Lyle originals fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Knife forums and YouTube channels still analyze its design. Even modern military gear has adopted elements inspired by it. Number 4. Training with real warriors. He didn't just play a soldier, he trained like one. Before a single frame was shot, the lead actor made a decision that would shape the entire film. This wasn't going to be Hollywood war. It had to be real. So instead of relying on secondhand research or movie cliches, he reached out to the people who knew survival better than anyone: real-life Special Forces veterans. What happened next wasn't just prep work, it was a transformation. These weren't just casual consultants, they were former Green Berets, battle-tested veterans with first-hand experience in jungle warfare, escape tactics, and survival under extreme conditions. And they didn't sugarcoat it. They put the actor through intense, hands-on training that pushed him to the edge. He learned how to build shelter from nothing, no tents, no tools. Just branches, mud, and instinct. They taught him how to set traps, move silently, and blend into the environment. The silent movement through underbrush, the camouflaged hiding spots, the way he disappears into the forest without a sound, that came straight from real military instruction. One iconic moment, the scene where he stitches up his own arm, wasn't invented by screenwriters. It was based on real field medic techniques shown to him by combat vets who had done it themselves under fire. He practiced how to tie knots, climb terrain, and improvise with what he had. One veteran trainer said, "He didn't just ask questions. He wanted to feel what it was like to survive alone, with nothing but your mind and your hands." This went far beyond physical training. The actor listened to their stories, their real, brutal, unfiltered experiences. Tales of being isolated behind enemy lines, losing friends, coming home and feeling invisible. These conversations didn't just influence how he moved, they shaped how he thought. That's where the emotional core of the character came from. Not action scenes, but from the mental scars those men carried. In interviews years later, the actor said those training sessions left a permanent impact. He described them as humbling and personal. He stayed in touch with several of the veterans long after the film ended. One Green Beret who consulted on set later said, "He may not have been one of us, but he respected us enough to try and get it right." That meant something. The filmmakers made a bold choice. No exaggerated combat moves, no unrealistic weapons training, no over-the-top survival tricks. Just real techniques taught by real warriors, portrayed with minimal dramatization. Number 3. Nature almost stopped the film. It wasn't just a movie about survival. Behind the scenes, it became one. Filming took place deep in the wild forests of British Columbia, and the environment wasn't kind. It didn't care about lighting setups, actor schedules, or million-dollar insurance policies. The cast and crew were up against something far more unforgiving than any villain in the script: raw, relentless nature. From day one, the weather was brutal. Freezing rain, heavy fog, and unexpected snowfall turned the location into a mud-soaked battlefield. Roads washed out overnight. Rivers rose suddenly and wiped out entire sets, forcing scenes to be rescheduled or rewritten entirely. Crew members spent hours hauling equipment through ankle-deep sludge, only to have shots ruined by sudden weather shifts. It turned into a 2-day nightmare after a real rainstorm flooded the area and nearly swept away camera gear. But the worst came during the river and waterfall scenes. Those weren't filmed in a controlled tank or soundstage. They were real rivers, real rocks, and real danger. The actor, determined to keep it authentic, refused stunt doubles for several shots, including the ones where he tumbles into icy rapids. What the audience sees is him, gasping for breath, slipping on slick stones, battling the current. What they don't see is the hypothermia risk he faced every take. Production paused more than once to warm up the lead between takes. The actor waved him off and kept shooting. Later, he joked that his only acting in that scene was trying not to drown. The production fell behind schedule, tensions ran high, and exhaustion set in. Some crew members begged the producers to relocate or move key scenes to a studio, but the star refused. He believed the discomfort made his performance stronger, that if Rambo was suffering, he should be suffering too. Looking back, the director called it one of the most miserable shoots of my career, and also the most rewarding. That's because those misty forests, those freezing rivers, and those rugged cliffs became characters in their own right. They gave the film its edge, its atmosphere, its sense of desperation. Number 2. The author hated the first cut. He created the character, wrote the book, brought the story to life. And when he first saw the film adaptation, his reaction wasn't excitement. It was disappointment. David Morrell, the author of the original novel, wasn't just an observer. He was emotionally invested. The book was his debut, and the story of a tormented Vietnam veteran spiraling into violence was deeply personal. In his version, the main character was unstable, tragic, and ultimately doomed. At first, Morrell called the script changes a betrayal of the book's soul. He believed the entire point had been erased, that turning the character into a survivor undermined the tragedy and moral weight of the original story. He didn't just dislike the change. He actively tried to distance himself from it. But then, something happened. He saw the final cut, and everything changed. Morrell expected to walk out of the theater shaking his head. Instead, he found himself genuinely moved. The lead actor's portrayal of the character wasn't cartoonish or sanitized. It was haunted, wounded, human. In interviews afterward, Morrell admitted, "I thought I'd hate it. But they did something I didn't expect. They made him sympathetic. They gave him a chance to live, and somehow, it worked." He even praised specific choices the film made that improved on the book. Morrell was particularly impressed by how the film treated PTSD, not as a plot device, but as a quiet, ever-present force driving the character's decisions. He later said, "The movie said more about veterans' trauma than most books ever have. It found the humanity I didn't know how to show." He even made a cameo appearance in one of the sequels, fully embracing the legacy his novel helped launch. But he never stopped pointing out the differences. Still, he remained proud of both, because even though the film changed the ending, it kept the heart. Number 1. The villain wasn't a villain. You thought he was the bad guy, the one who started it, the one who pushed too far. But the truth is more complicated and more human than anyone expected. Sheriff Will Teasel, the small-town lawman who sparks the film's central conflict, has long been seen as the antagonist. He arrests a drifter for no reason. He treats a decorated veteran like a criminal. And he sets in motion a chain of events that leads to chaos, violence, and tragedy. But here's the twist. He was never written to be evil. From the beginning, the actor cast in the role, Brian Dennehy, refused to play Teasel as a one-dimensional villain. He didn't want to be the snarling cop or the corrupt authority figure. Instead, he saw Teasel as a man with flaws, pride, and fear, not malice. To prepare, Dennehy rode along with real sheriffs in small towns across the Pacific Northwest. And that's exactly how he played it. Teasel wasn't trying to slay anyone. He wasn't out for blood. He was trying to keep order in a town that had never faced anything like this before. His arrogance, his control issues, and his inability to back down, they were human flaws, not evil ones. In fact, the original script gave him even more depth, flashbacks, personal moments, hints at a war record of his own. Some of it was cut, but Dennehy kept that history in his performance. He saw Teasel not as a bully, but as a man watching his world slip out of his hands. Even the actor playing the lead hero praised Dennehy's choices. In interviews, he said the film worked because the audience understood both men, a veteran pushed too far, and a sheriff trying to maintain control over a town he no longer recognized. And Dennehy didn't just deliver a grounded performance, he took real risks. During fight scenes, he and the lead agreed to go all in. One on-screen scuffle left Dennehy with a cracked rib. He shrugged it off, saying, "If the punches don't land, the movie doesn't either." The result? A sheriff who feels like someone you might actually know. Someone who made bad calls, yes, but not out of evil, out of fear, frustration, and pride. So, did you know any of these? Or did any completely flip how you see this story? Which fact shocked you the most? And what legendary behind-the-scenes secrets should we uncover next? Drop a comment, hit that like button if you want more raw truths like this, and don't forget to subscribe. Check out the next video on screen because we're just getting started.